Several European countries have introduced tough new restrictions to tackle COVID as the Omicron variant spreads rapidly across the continent. A month-long lockdown has now come into force in the Netherlands. Polls have closed for the first election in Hong Kong since China increased its control over the territory. Every candidate had to be approved by a pro-Beijing committee. A decision has been criticised by foreign governments and activists. Sudanese authorities have fired tear gas at protesters outside the presidential palace in the capital, Khartoum. Thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets around the country to denounce the military. And the award-winning British architect Richard Rogers has died at the age of 88. He was best known for his work on the Pompidou Centre in Paris.
We begin with the coronavirus situation here in Japan. More than 150 infections have now been reported at US Marine Corps Camp Hansen in the southern prefecture of Okinawa. The US military told the prefectural government that 31 new cases were confirmed on Sunday. A total of 3 cases of the Omicron variant have been found. Japan's chief cabinet secretary met on Sunday with local mayors in Okinawa. He told reporters the US military had assured him the infected people are under strict quarantine inside the camp.
We will urge the US military to take more thorough anti-infection measures and will do all we can to ease the concerns of local people.
More than 170 new coronavirus cases were reported across Japan on Sunday. A total of 65 Omicron cases have been reported so far. The World Health Organization says the variant had been confirmed in 89 countries as of Thursday. It says Omicron cases have doubled every few days in countries with community transmission. Britain is one country facing a rapid surge. New Omicron cases surpassed 10,000 on Saturday. Health authorities say the variant now accounts for 83% of coronavirus infections in London.
We're incredibly concerned by the huge surge in the Omicron variant.
The UK government's advisory group warns that the number of patients needing hospitalisation will rise dramatically in the next 2 weeks. Starting Sunday, the Netherlands has introduced a strict lockdown over the Christmas holiday period.
I'm worried about the Omicron variant. Everyone needs to be careful not to get infected.
Non-essential stores are closed, including bars and restaurants. There's also a cap on the number of people allowed at private home gatherings. NHK has learned that the man suspected of starting Friday's deadly fire in Osaka apparently used a lighter. 24 people died. Police said on Sunday they're investigating 61-year-old Tanimoto Morio on suspicion of arson and murder. He was a patient at the psychiatric clinic where the fire broke out. Police say he remains in hospital in serious condition. Witnesses reported seeing the suspect place a paper bag containing liquid in the clinic's waiting room. They say he kicked it and the liquid came spilling out before igniting. Sources tell NHK that surveillance footage shows Tanimoto acting like he was setting fire to the liquid with a lighter. They say the video then shows him blocking the entrance by stretching out his arms. The doctor who runs the clinic, Nishizawa Kotaro, has been confirmed as one of the victims.
The doctor took care of me. I believe he saved my life.
It is so unfortunate. I was able to return to work quickly, thanks to the treatment he gave me.
Nishizawa opened the clinic 6 years ago. He offered treatment for mental health problems with a focus on helping people get back to work. In the Philippines, over 480,000 people have been forced to evacuate 2 days after a powerful typhoon. Officials say at least 31 people have been killed and the number is likely to rise. Typhoon Rai slammed into southern and central parts of the country through Friday, causing severe damage and flooding. Officials say nearly 3,800 homes were damaged, but they add the damage assessment isn't complete yet. The military has been unable to contact dozens of communities, including those on remote islands. The government is planning to send military aircraft to the islands to rescue people and provide support for evacuees. Turning now to Indonesia, where authorities are warning there could be another major volcanic eruption on Java Island. Mount Semeru erupted on December 4th, leaving 48 people dead. Minor eruptions and pyroclastic flows have since been observed daily. An eruption on Sunday sent ash over wide areas. Authorities have raised the alert level to the second highest on a 4-tier scale. The deadly eruption earlier this month spewed volcanic ash, lava and gas on villages at the mountain's foot. 36 people are missing. Over 10,000 people have been forced to stay in shelters. President Joko Widodo has indicated the government may consider mass relocation of residents. New figures from China has revealed the extent to which the pandemic has disrupted business with North Korea. Customs data show the total value of trade between the countries this year has plummeted nearly 90% so far compared to 2019. The figures say the value of China's trade with North Korea between January and November this year stood at $267 million. That marks a decline of 89% from the corresponding period 2 years ago. This customs office in the Chinese city of Dandong is usually a bustling hub for trade, but now there's just one truck at the compound. North Korea has limited trade with other countries since January of last year, keeping its borders closed to curb the spread of the coronavirus. State-run media has been urging people to observe preventive measures and to stay vigilant of the Omicron variant. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un characterized this year as a victory for the country at a meeting of the ruling Workers' Party earlier this month. But the pandemic is believed to have devastated the country's economy, which was already struggling due to international sanctions. Russia's foreign ministry has announced that the country has officially completed its withdrawal from the Open Skies Treaty. The ministry said in a statement that Russia is no longer a party to the treaty from Saturday. In June, President Vladimir Putin signed a bill to pull Russia out of the treaty that allows signatories to conduct surveillance flights over each other's territory. The United States withdrew from the treaty in November of 2020. The treaty was signed by the US, Russia and European countries in 1992 with the goal of enhancing transparency of their military activities and nurturing confidence after the end of the Cold War. It went into effect in 2002. The Russian ministry said it's obvious that without the participation of the US and Russia, the effectiveness of the treaty will decrease sharply, with an 80% drop in the zone of its application. It said that full responsibility for the degradation of the treaty regime lies with the initiator of the collapse of the treaty, the United States. Rahm Emanuel has been approved as the US ambassador to Japan and vows to deepen ties between the countries. The position has been vacant for about 2.5 years. Following his approval by the US Senate, he tweeted, "Our 60-year-old alliance with Japan promotes peace and prosperity. Most importantly, it strengthens our shared democratic values." He further wrote, "What we build in partnership over the next 3 years will determine America's posture over the next 30 years in the Indo-Pacific region." Emanuel served as chief of staff to then-President Barack Obama and is now known to be close to incumbent President Joe Biden. Emanuel then spent 8 years as the mayor of Chicago. Emanuel is expected to enhance relations with Japan, which the US sees as an important ally in its competition with China. And those were the main stories for this hour.